Hey, I'm Riley, and this is the Superhuman Podcast. At Superhuman, we bring you cutting edge insights from health experts and high performers to help you unlock your body's full potential, supercharge your mind, and achieve more with less effort. Want to fix nagging health issues, boost productivity, spark genius ideas, master stress, build better relationships, and increase your income? It all starts with optimizing your inner machinery. My guest today is Manoj Agrawal. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's Manoj Agrawal.
My guest today is Manoj Agrawal, a longevity physician and founder of Blue Wealth, a precision-based practice helping high performers extend their health span through cutting-edge medicine and lifestyle upgrades. Formerly a nationally recognized radiologist, oncologist, and prostate cancer expert, he has shifted his focus from treating disease to preventing it at its root. His approach blends cell biology, integrative medicine, and positive psychology to help clients not just live longer, but live better at the same time. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Riley. We appreciate that really warm introduction. And we've been trying to coordinate this for a while, so I'm really excited to be on.
Yeah, likewise. And I love, this is the future, I think. It's really longevity, and it's kind of become a new, being able to live longer, being able to have freedom, and you're just seeing it within pop culture become more and more popular now. So I'm so excited, now that it's really trending to have you on to dive in today. With all my guests that I have on, I'm really curious what got them into this in the first place. And you've basically seen both sides. You've seen oncology and optimization. So what was your sort of aha moment that shifted you from treating disease to more extending health span?
Yeah, it's a long answer, but I'll boil it down to essentially medicine changing and feeling like patients weren't getting the best they can. As a radiation oncologist, I was primarily seeing cancer, and the statistics are startling in that 40 to 50% of cancers are now related to lifestyle. So I would see patients time and time again that would come into my office with disease that really should not have happened. And regardless, they were there, and we did our best to give them cutting edge therapy, and many patients did really well. But inevitably, many patients asked, "Doc, what can I do to prevent this from coming back?" And in the 5 minutes I had to talk to them and follow up, there was not enough time to go over all this. So I find myself going over in clinic, not being efficient and not really serving patients as well. I've had an interest in this for quite a long time. In fact, I've actually treated my own mother with integrative oncology for 11 years before she needed therapy, before she needed chemotherapy. So this was something that was ingrained in me. And I've been exposed to integrative medicine and alternative medicine since I was a child through Ayurveda and homeopathy medicine. So it was a combination of really seeing like patients should get more and having a passion for more, and the application I had to my family and to my own life, but also medicine changing and patients really kind of being passed along what I call assembly line medicine. And I feel like there's too much handoff where even that follow-up care that I was mentioning was being handed off to advanced care practitioners, which is fine. But I went into medicine to have continuity of care. I want to see patients through their diagnosis, through follow-up, and have long longitudinal relationships. And that was being taken away. So I felt like I could do a lot more for people. And I really was inspired by Peter Attia's story, which resonated with me as he was a surgical oncology fellow. And his reasons for leaving traditional medicine really kind of resonated with me and aligned with me as well.
That's amazing. And, today we're in the age of everyone's wearing like an Oura Ring or a Whoop Band or an Apple Watch, and they're doing more advanced lab testing. And I think there's more awareness around this stuff. A lot of people are listening to Andrew Huberman podcasts. It seems like the new trendy thing to do. In your experience, what are like the non-negotiables that you're looking to track for peak vitality?
Oh, yeah. So I think the obvious ones that everyone would talk about, would be your sleep, it'd be your movement, your nutrition, your supplements. But I think what people talk less about, which is where I typically start, is your social relationships, your foundation, who you can rely upon, who loves you, and who do you love? Because at the end of the day, that is going to either make or break you.
And it's such a good foundation because not everybody talks about that. That's kind of something that just stays at the sidelines and you focus on everything else. And then those things will eventually, but we see it from like the people that live a long time, like the Okinawa people in Japan and everything. Like everybody has that sense of community. So that's very important for these people to really strike that longevity because it's doing a lot for your hormones and your brain and inflammation at the same time too, right?
100%. I mean, I think if you look at the longest running study in human history. It's a study of healthy aging done at Harvard, which is two different cohorts. But essentially, it's been run now for almost 90 years. A book was written on it called The Good Life, and the number one predictor of happiness and the number one predictor of longevity in that cohort was the quality of your social relationships. And you also look at a foundation of, within oncology of anti-cancer living, which was written by Dr. Lorenzo Cohen a number of years ago. His foundation also is starting off with emotional and social support as well.
Amazing. And with all this too, like there's so many different variables and pillars, and people go on the internet and they hear gurus talking about this. They go to their local health food store and the supplement guy will tell them to take this supplement, other supplement. So there's just, I find mass confusion within all of this. What do you think is the main one misunderstood truth about aging that most people or even high performers get wrong?
That's a good question. I think we are in an age of a lot of data, and I think that data is only going to increase. As you mentioned, we all have wearables, and we get hyper focused on these very tangible pieces of information, which is good because we should. There's a lot that could be uncovered there. But I think there is value to some of this soft stuff. And I think we spend a lot of time invested in our tech, get deep into biohacking, just I was a former cyclist, so that little shave you can have, the little 1% margin, can make a big difference in your race performance. But really, the backbone of these intangibles is really what's going to reinforce you. So one of the first questions I have when I do a discovery call with a potential new client, and even when we do our first consultation, is really digging into the why. Why is it that you want to live long, and for whom are you trying to live long with? And those having that deep defined why will fuel you in these dark times. Because when you're optimized, when you're sleeping great, when you're eating well, when everything is clicking, it's all good. But really, when you hit those hard times, when we all will hit some hard times, whether it's something to ourselves, to our families, work related, then you got to dig deep. How are you going to perform in those moments? And that's going to define you.
I love that. And then going to your blue wealth model specifically, I'm really intrigued by this. How is it different from other conventional concierge medicine or longevity clinics? Like, how do you approach it?
Yeah, a lot of the longevity space that or other players in the space are doing a great job, not throwing any shade anywhere. What makes us a little different is that it's very high touch, hands on throughout the whole process. So it's not boilerplate. You of course have a slew of tests that you'll do, but I've seen that many clinics will do these tests and then patients are kind of left to kind of figure out on their own, or you don't necessarily have the longevity component to the concierge part. So I think when you really put it together, um, that's where the magic happens. And when people sign up for Blue Wealth, I really feel strongly, without trying to toot my own horn, but they sign up for me individually, and they sign up for the program secondarily. So I'm very involved in every process. Of course, we have other people that are working within Blue Wealth that are involved in the day-to-day operations and the applications, but I am available for all my clients. And I think having that, option for them makes a big difference. And I think that, you know, you alluded to in my introduction, that positive psychology component, which was born at UPenn where I was on faculty, really helps me kind of coach them. And the weight that you receive from a physician coach, it carries a little different weight than from elsewhere. Uh, you
Yeah,
know, our health coaches are incredible. Our fitness coaches are incredible. But you hear things all the time from many folks, and sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't. But when you hear your doctor tell you something, it carries a little bit of a.
no kidding. Yeah, they're a lot more likely to listen to that, especially when they start seeing the data and everything. It's combined with positive psychology. I know it just has such a positive impact. I have a kind of a chicken or egg question for you, and I wonder this myself sometimes. When it comes to the mindset, that's really important for me. I think that's a mindset that you have to begin with the positive psychology, and having community and people around you, and the social elements extremely important. But then you also have things like if somebody's brain neurochemistry, they're in a deficiency of serotonin, but then you look in their gut, it like a lot of serotonin is produced inside of the gut, or melatonin, and that could be creating a much more difficult time for them to have that positive psychology if their body's inner machinery isn't working in their favor. So how do you approach one before the other? Is it both at the same time? How do you look at that?
Yeah, really great question. Um, every day there's so many papers that are coming out looking at the microbiome, the microbiome gut, the microbiome brain uh, axis, the gut brain axis, the gut X axis. There's a gut everything axis at this point,
Yeah.
given how fundamental the microbiome is. And if you think about it, it makes sense. I mean, we evolved in an intricate connection to our environment. Bacteria were part of us, and we were part of them. And only in the last 50 to 100 years have we really been removed from the environment. And, now we have fueling of chronic disease. With the discovery of the importance of the microbiome, in the context of the question you asked about the mind connection, you're 100% right. I mean, so serotonin itself doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier, but 5-HTP, which is produced by the gut, does cross the blood-brain barrier. So you can have native production that modulates your mood and your motivation based on how you're living your life, based on what you're eating, what you're not eating, based on how other factors are that influence your gut. Um, even movement, even zone 2 cardio can influence your gut motility. Your hydration can influence that. So to get to your question, where do you start? I think you got to start in both places. There can be chemical modulation, both intrinsic in terms of gut health, and extrinsic for people who need that either temporarily or ongoing. There definitely is a role for SSRIs and select patients. But we do check the microbiome on everyone. There's so much
Yeah.
that can be uncovered from optimizing the microbiome in any human being.
Yeah, no kidding. And they say it's responsible for metabolism. Like I remember reading that study when they took gut bacteria from an obese mice and put it in a skinny mice, and that skinny mice became obese itself. I remember reading Dave Asprey's book way back in the day. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But yeah, with just the science unfolding and everything else. But I think that positive psychology, no matter what new studies come out, is always here to stay. My other question is diving more into the lab testing is what is your go-to lab test that you look at for any patient? Is it those core same lab tests for every patient you work with, or is it change depending on what their situation is like?
Yeah, good question. So we do have a core that we start off with most people, and then depending on those findings, we then can go a bit further. It's already alluded to microbiome testing for all folks. We of course have a slew of blood panels that we check, including kind of your standard things like your CBC, your CMP, looking into liver function, looking into pancreatic function, looking at and inflammatory markers, autoimmune markers, things of that nature. Beyond that, there's of course added functional medicine tests that we do as well. So there's going to be micronutrient testing. There can be food sensitivity testing, although the data so far on kind of the aftermarket food sensitivity tests aren't the best, according to my allergy advisors. And of course, age testing as well. Biologic age testing is incorporated into every client as well, and provides really good insight, especially now that I usually order the True Diagnostic test. You can have them broken down by organ system as well. So it really gives us an idea of where a patient, has accelerated aging. I do think that the tests right now are not perfect. They're very far from perfect, and we probably need better tests that look at individual organs. As much as Brian Johnson will advertise, he's got the
I was
kidneys
about
of
to say,
an 18-year-old or
yeah,
whatever it is now. I don't think we're there yet. We will get there yet. We'll get there at some point, and it helps me correlate the data that I'm seeing as well. If a patient, for example, staying with the kidney health example, has accelerated aging in their kidneys and their EGFR is borderline, those two correlate. But sometimes they don't. And that just shows that we still have ways to go.
very interesting. Do you see a future where we're going to be able to reverse the aging process with AI in the next 10, 20 years?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, there
Yeah.
was just a paper that came out that looked at, AI being able to, essentially predict and modulate interventions that can affect the aging process. I think even before the age of AI, we are able to reverse biologic age. We've got And I say we, I mean we as human beings, and we've got the rejuvenation Olympics that have been going on for quite a while. For those who are listening and may not be familiar with it, it's a kind of a gamification of anti-aging, where you can get your biologic age checked and then put into place interventions and recheck it. And those who are able to change their pace of aging the most are put on a leaderboard, and you can then compete with people. For a
Interesting.
while, actually, Brian Johnson was not number one. It was actually, a regular person like me and you, who she was actually, I believe, a mid 50-year old, or maybe lower 50-year old mother who was just living a great lifestyle and had the slowest pace of aging, which I think, surprised a lot of people. But it shows the power of how little things really add up over time. Um, yeah, so we can definitely do things now, and within Blue Wealth, we actually have just launched a 90-day age reversal program based on scientific data from Kara Fitzgerald that you can reverse your biologic age in as little, in her trial was 60. We are extending to 90 days.
Amazing. What a day and age to be alive. And for somebody getting into this, is there an age that's most optimal? Like, is 35 too young? Is kind of 40 plus, sort of the ideal age to get into this type of thing?
Yeah, really good question. It's never too early to want to be healthy. Um, if you look at, and this data is a bit older, and I think many people have changed their lifestyles, but many haven't. When you look at data from soldiers who died at war back in the war wars, they did autopsies. They found that men as young as 18 years old had measurable disease in their coronary arteries. Right? So whatever lifestyle they had for those previous years already contributed to coronary artery disease. So these are men at that point, men, but now, you can extend that to women, could have a cardiac event at 40 or 50 based on their lifestyles. I have a good friend who's a CT surgeon, and we get together every so often. And he tells me about all these 40-year-olds he operated on during that week. So, you don't get heart disease at 40. That starts in 18, that starts at 20. So it's never too young to make good decisions. And for that person who's, 18 or 20, that starts with your parents helping you along the way, modeling what it is to be healthy. Your kids are going to learn from what you do rather than what you say, right? The old adage.
Mm, yep.
So it's never too young to instill health into your child. It's never too young to start thinking about what health is for you. In terms of more advanced things, like more of the biohacking and testing, I don't know if that's necessary until you get towards your 30s or 40s. Um, but yeah, you should start thinking about your health at any point, and the younger you start, the more robust your life will be.
Love it. And finally, if people want the highest leverage lifestyle, for anybody who's looking to feel 10 years younger quickly, what are the top three things that they can start doing today?
Yeah, real good question. Top three things. Let's see. If you're not already optimized your sleep, that would be a really strong foundation of introducing really good sleep hygiene. Going to bed at the same time each night, within 30 to 60 minute, kind of time range. Giving yourself great sleep opportunity, being in bed for at least 8 hours to give yourself 7-ish hours to be in bed or sleep, I should say. And everything that comes with good sleep hygiene, no screen time before bed, dimming lights, all that good stuff. The second I would say would be that, especially post pandemic, I think many people, many people will comment that a lot of people have gone off the wagon. People aren't kind of themselves as much. There's a lot more, crazy drivers in the road. I think people aren't, as in tune with their emotional health and their mental health. And the quick and easiest thing you can do would be to just kind of journal a little bit. It sounds, again, kind of sounds a little soft for some of the guys and ladies who may not be used to it. But I'm not telling you to jump into, long meditations per se. But, they sell things, for example, like the 5-minute journal at places like Target. You spend 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes in the morning as you sip in your coffee, spend 2.5 minutes in the evening as you're in bed trying to wind down. And it really kind of sets the tone for your day and your mental health in terms of thinking about what it is you're grateful for, what it is that went well during your day, maybe what didn't go well during your day. How did you choose to perform that day? How did you actually perform, and how do you learn? And these kind of small little things really add up over time to help steer yourself in the direction of the person that you want to be, and make sure your life is going in the direction you're going. Because ultimately, one of the old adages again are the days are long, but the years are short, right? We
Mm,
always talk about how time flies. So
mhm.
make the most of your day and learn. And let's see, number three would be, well, really to move more. Great movement into your day. You mentioned the Okinawans. You look at all the other blue zones. These are men and women who are not going to the gym and working out, right? They've integrated um, movement into their lives. They tend to live in places that have, natural, hills and climbs. But, we don't have that. So whatever it is in your day, try to integrate some movement. Of course, go to the gym, get in your core workouts. But if you got time at lunch, you got a meeting you can take on voice, go for a walk outside. Or if it's a rainy day, climb some stairs, get a walking desk, do something to move. And, your life will be more like our ancestors. And that's a good thing.
Love it. If people want to learn more about you, where can they visit?
Sure. My website is bluewealth.com. The wealth is spelled W. Start again. The website is bluewealth.com, spelled blue like the color, then WELLTH.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, blue_wealth. And by the way, the name of the practice, blue, is inspired by the blue zones. And wealth,
Mm.
the spelling of wealth is a play on being wealthy, but it's, having an abundance of health and well being. Because what good is wealth if you don't have your health?
No kidding. Yeah, very creative. Thank you so much. I learned a ton today too, and I'm sure our listeners did as well. And all right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a ton of value from today's episode. If you're ready to take your health and performance to the next level, grab our free Superhuman guide at getsuperhuman.io. Hit subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Stay superhuman.